What's going on, folks? Welcome to Got Your Back, post-game live stream edition. Brought to you by our good friends over at Mr. Dirk. Well, they got the split. Eh? Glass half full, Oiler fans? I don't know. 7-5 loss tonight to the Winnipeg Jets. Leon Draisaitl with a hat trick wasn't quite enough. We're going to have to dig into a few things with Jason Strudwick, who's going to join us in just a moment, including the play of Jack Campbell, which I'm sure some of you will want to discuss. We're live streaming Twitter and YouTube here tonight, so by all means, fire us your comments. We're going to try and get you very involved tonight as you give us your thoughts about how you felt this Oiler team looked. Got Your Back brought to you by our good friends at Mr. Dirk, located just off White Avenue and 102nd Street. Mr. Dirk is your one-stop shop for all your clothing needs. I shop there for a ton of my clothing, and I absolutely love it. Always great to pick up a nice fresh suit from Sterling, Dan, and the crew down at Mr. Dirk. They've got a wide range of selections, all sorts of different makes, all kinds of different levels of how dressed up you want to get. You want to go real formal? They've got that. You want to go nice and cash? They've got that too. Mr. Dirk definitely has you covered when it comes to all of your clothing needs, and that includes casual clothes as well. So check them out just off White Avenue and 102nd Street. Okay, Struddy, what do you figure, my man? How was your night?
I love the early game, man. 5 o'clock. Let's do that. Let's do that every Saturday.
That's a game changer on a Saturday night, eh?
Love it, man. Love it. Watch the game, hit up a pod with you, and then maybe a couple episodes of something, and then in the sheets by 11. Beautiful.
Oh, you got some good shows going right now? What do you have going?
It's something like I found the other day. It's called Daisy Jones and the Fabulous Six or something. It's about a rock band. So it looks pretty good. I just started. It's not what you think. It's sounds
chirpable.
Yeah, I'm halfway through the first episode, so give me a chance to breathe here, and I'll get it back to you.
Daisy Jones and the something. I mean, I'm clicking past that just at the name.
Yeah, if you look at it, it's good though. I'm quite excited. I'm quite excited about this. So that's where I'm heading after this. Tuck the kids into bed and pour a little bit of port and get a buzz on watching Daisy Jones.
We're getting some good chirps here on YouTube. Rishaug looks a little buzzed. LFG. We all know what that means. No, I'm not buzzed. I'm a professional. Stay off the sauce until after the podcast is done. I got a bunch of series going on right now. We're going to get to the game in a minute, by the way. Yellowstone, so there's that one. But then there's 1888, which is the origin story. I'm in the middle of that right now. Fantastic. And then there's 1923. Harrison Ford. Have you been watching this Harrison Ford one? Or no, is he in 1888? No, he's in 1923.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Harrison
Ford is the man right now. He is killing it in a few series. He's got another one called... on Apple TV, can't remember the name. He plays a psychologist. Mm-hmm. I'm loving how much Harrison Ford is putting himself out there right now. Yeah, man's a treasure.
Good looking man. Very good looking man. I hope to age that well.
What else do I have going on right now? You got, and then you got The Drive to Survive is on Netflix. I've already watched Full Swing because I did that trip to Mexico, so I watched a bunch there. I got too many series going on, man. I can't control it all.
A lot of things, a lot of balls in the air, as they say.
I do. Okay, people don't care about my television habits. Let's get to the breakdown tonight. The Oilers lose 7-5 to the Winnipeg Jets. Breakdown brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. They supply some of the nicest maintenance-free fencing and decking products out there. If you've got the wood in your backyard and you're worried about what it's going to look like in the spring, and you think you got a whole pile of staining and sanding and painting ahead of you, give some thought to going maintenance-free vinyl, and DLR Vinyl can help you do that. They've got locations in Calgary and at Edmonton. It's beautiful maintenance-free fencing and decking. They're my brothers that run this company, a company that my dad started. By the way, my late father, his birthday today, so the family is thinking about Les. We miss you. DLR Vinyl, locations in Calgary and in Edmonton. Okay, I'm judging by the YouTube comments here. I'm feeling like people might want to start with Jack Campbell, Struddy. I don't know, man. Where do you want to start? Because the people want to start with Jack Campbell. Maybe I'm not quite as hard on him tonight, but we can run down the goals we didn't like here. What'd you think? Pregnant pause.
No,
Pregnant pause, Struddy.
I want to be careful how I start this because I feel like it'll set the tone for the whole pod.
Okay, yep.
I think that Jack Campbell right now looks small the way he's playing. I felt when he was going, I thought before Christmas we started seeing a turn in him. I thought after Christmas he really kind of got himself going. I think the last 4 or 5 games, Jack looks small to me. And I've been explained to me by a goalie coach, when a goalie looks small, they're squeezing, right? So they're squeezing everything in because they don't want anything leaking through them. But what happens when you squeeze in, now you're not covering, anything out. You got to be big and let the equipment do its work. So I feel that he looks small right now. That being said, I do not like the way the Oilers covered in front of their own net. And when you're having multiple pucks tipped or redirected by an opponent's stick in front of your net,
right,
that is on the defender. That is clearly on the defender. That is not on the netminder. The Oilers fight hard to get position, and then they don't tap the stick, and then there's a tip puck. And I think we saw multiple of those tonight. So I think Jack Campbell there's some of this. I think the defenders in front of the Oilers have to tie up sticks, take away the option of tipping. So it's on both sides. But if this was a one-off for Jack Campbell, I'd be like, okay. But I think we go back 4 or 5 games. I feel like he's average giving up 4 or 5 goals a game, and that starts to get a little bit harder to swallow for a team trying to dial it in defensively. What did you see?
Well, let's run down the goals, okay? I mean, to be fair, let's run through the goals again. Sure. So the one goal was a Scheifele tip. Yeah. I didn't have any issue there. The 2-1 goal was the lost battle at the line there by Janmark and the Morrissey. Did that one go off Desharnais' skate or something like that? Did that hit someone's skate in the slot? I think it did.
I felt like it might have, but again,
I'm giving him that one as a deflection. And
I want to because there was other ones as well. So let's keep going.
Okay, let's keep going. So then I think it was a 3-3 goal. That was the Adam Lowry tip-in the middle of the ice. So you talked about needing to tie up sticks. So we're through 3 of the 6 core goals here. 4-3, Copa Bianca, if I said that right. Snapshot coming in off the right point. That was no good. No good. Coming in off the right wing there, that snapshot, right?
100%. Nope, got it. I believe that needs to be saved.
Yeah, that one absolutely needs to be saved. By the way, refs missed a call there. Did you see Derek Ryan get picked in the middle of the ice?
No, I didn't.
Derek, go back and take a look. Derek Ryan would have been there to fill in that space where he crossed the blue line, but a player picked Ryan. And listen, I don't normally complain about the refs. Fans will know this about me. I don't ever talk about the refs really because I think it goes both ways. But I'd be interested in your opinion. So he looked like he got picked a little bit there. But Jack Campbell absolutely had to have that one. Now the 6-4, the dagger goal on the power play. First slap shot doesn't get through, or he might have saved it. I can't remember. But then Morrissey winds up and blasts it past him. What did you see on that one? Because really, we're talking about one that's his fault. So far.
Was that the one that was actually going wide? And then it looks like he redirects it into his net?
Yeah, maybe he did.
Is that the one because
look at it here while
he makes the initial save. He makes the initial save.
Yeah.
On that one, and what happens is the puck actually goes way into the corner. That's the one I think I'm thinking of.
Shoot.
Hold on.
I shouldn't be doing this. Rights violation. I don't have the rights to play that audio. How can I turn it down? I need to turn that down. Hang on a sec. I'm going to turn this down for a sec so people won't hear you either while I take another quick look at this. So, okay. Back to the line. First shot. Nice save by Campbell actually on the first shot. And then the second one, looks like he stabbed at it. Struddy looked like he had a shot at it. I would have to see the reverse. Are we blaming that on him? You know what? Let's ask the people out there if they're blaming that last goal on him, because we're talking about one bad one here so far, maybe 2. Yeah. So are we being too hard on him, you think? Or are the people by hanging this one on him?
I go back to my initial statement. I feel like he's looking small in the net. And I think that comes from squeezing it, right? You're squeezing in, and I've already made that point, but I'm trying to be like, I don't love what we saw from the Oilers in parts of the game, but I think this is a night like it just feels like you just need to get that one save and you're good to go. That one save. And I was actually communicating with a goalie I know, and he kept talking about Campbell, and I kept saying,
how is Noodles?
So I kept saying to you, like, they got to tap sticks. Like, so I look at it differently than most people. I think most people see the puck go by the goal and they're like, okay, this was a bad goal. I look at what happened beforehand. I always say, what is this preventable? What could the D-man have done or a forward could have done differently? And I look at that. I'm like, God, I just think there's more to it. I just think there's more to it than that.
Okay, let's get to the Weiss Johnson Twitter and YouTube mentions. So I'll grab some off YouTube here if you want to take a quick look at Twitter. So people definitely going to be chiming in on Jack Campbell's night here. And again, there's two conversations. Jack Campbell's overall play in the last month or whatever, and Jack Campbell's play tonight. Let's try and keep those conversations separate, because I see a lot of people, just sort of talking about his play over the last. Let's just focus on his play tonight for the purposes of this. Chemo Man says, I agree 100, Struddy. I think on your point about him looking like he's playing a little bit small. Campbell makes Yamo look like an NBA player, says Harbuk Sekon. Hope I got that right. Apologies if I didn't. What else do we got here? I started watching him on every point shot. He looked lost every time. Everyone that got through was dangerous, says Seeking Sand Guru. What do you have there, Struddy? People definitely not exactly flooding to the defense of Jack Campbell here, nor would I expect them to.
No, and I'm sorry if I can't remember the player or someone who tweeted at me. I went through it. I want to spend all my time, but said, should Campbell been pulled? And I felt he should have been pulled after the fourth goal. I believe that would have taken about the midpoint of the game.
Really?
And I would have pulled him at that point. It was part on Campbell, but I believe what I would have done it for is that it would have just been like, hey guys, like, we're in this game. Like, this, that was a winnable game tonight. That was a very winnable game, and I think they let it slip by.
So they got too quick, right? 6:54, Lowry, 7:16, Copa Bianca. So that would have been after the bad goal he let in.
3-2.
The really ugly one.
Yeah, 3-2 for the Oilers, and then moments later it's 4-3.
Yeah,
I believe, if I remember.
That would have been the time to do it after that really soft one.
And that would have been I would have pulled him out, and it would have been as much for and Campbell. Like I said, you got to be careful because people just see the puck goes by him and he's kind of reaching for it. But that's what happens, right? Look at the other end, Hellebuck. Wasn't
look
like
at the one Draisaitl got by him. Like if Campbell let that goal in, people would be saying brutal goal on Campbell. Well, that was Connor Hellebuck at the other end.
And we got to be careful when we're criticizing a goaltender. We got to look at the other end. Hellebuck wasn't much better. It was. If we're being honest, it was just to give up, 12 goals on a Saturday night game? Like, what a mess. An absolute nightmare for any coach. Yeah. But one team got the 2 points, the other one didn't. So I think we got to be careful when we're putting that through. So that is something I really think that we have to be aware of. And so he looks small, and that is the longer term concern for me. He looks small. Did he let in a goal tonight that would have been nice? Yes. But the Oilers also have to do a better job in front, tying up sticks. And the issue of looking small for me is the bigger one. It feels like there's a lot of net. So I was watching the game and I had the sound off for a very personal reason. No, just kidding. I just had it off for a minute. And when they came up for the third, I was like, "Who's in the net?" The first shot they had of the goaltender was from a distance. I knew it was Campbell. I didn't have to say what it was. Didn't see any of the jersey. I didn't see the mustache. I knew exactly what it was by the way he looked size-wise. So that's, to me, the biggest concern right now for Campbell is how he looks small.
So another goal equipment change for him, get into the beefier stuff like Skinner has?
I don't know what I don't know. I don't have the goalie experience to know. I just know that he looks smaller than he did a month ago. And that's concerning heading into the stretch of the season.
We're getting some comments about Evan Bouchard and Matthias Ekholm's game. We are going to dive deep into their play as a pairing through 3 games. That's coming up in our takeaway segment, so stick around for that. We'll go back to the Weiss Johnson mentions. And a reminder, they've got 45 years in the business, all kinds of experience. So why wouldn't you call Weiss Johnson if you have any need at all for a new furnace, garage heater, air conditioner, hot water tank, or any of those things serviced? They are the place to go. Edmonton's #1 choice for heating, air conditioning, and plumbing services. Give them a call, 780-463-3096. That's 780-463-3096. Okay, some are giving me heck saying just because Hellebuck was bad doesn't mean Jack's performance was any better. Aiden 7389 says, does he not look lost playing? Yes, the team needs to play better, but he also needs to. I agree. He needed to be better than he was tonight. But Struds, we can't take I mean, he made some good saves. They came in right after scoring goals, high shots where, I mean, I think he made a few saves where, momentum was really swinging even harder in their direction, and he did his job in those moments. I think there were two that were somewhat questionable on a night where they ended up with, 6 against him. I think that there were 2 that were questionable. So is it more on him tonight? Or is it more on the team's play? I would lean towards the team's play over his.
And that's, I can live with that. I can live with that. Which goal? Who scored it? Was it Copa Bianca? Who got the breakaway? The breakaway goal.
Which one was the breakaway? That was the one. CC. That was the 5-4 goal. CC. By the way, CC. Like 2 turnovers in 3 seconds on the wall. Like just. Really bad. Morgan Barron. Yeah.
So let's talk about that. CC has complete control of that one. Doesn't has 2 chances to kick it out, to get it out of trouble. Doesn't get it out of trouble. I think his line mates are completely looking to change, and they thought he was going to get it deep. They don't get it deep. All of a sudden, it's a breakaway the other way. So again, would it be nice to see Campbell make that save? Yes. There's no doubt about it. But why does he have to make that save? Why is he even put in a position where he has to make that save? That needs to be a clean play, and you get it out. I don't care if you have to cross ice, dump it, whatever you do, stick it against the wall, whatever you need to do. That cannot come back at them in a breakaway.
Yeah,
so you have complete control, and seconds later, the guy has a breakaway going the other way. That's not playoff winning hockey. Yeah. So don't give Campbell the hard one. Oh, he's got to stop that. Yeah, but why does he have to make that stop? That shouldn't even happen. That's video worthy tomorrow for Jay and the team.
Well, that's one where Campbell will be pissed at himself, and he'll want that one back. And the team obviously should not have put him in that position. I completely agree with you on that front as well. Okay, that's the conversation about Jack Campbell's night tonight. Now let's have a bigger conversation about where Jack Campbell's game is and the competition that he has going with Stuart Skinner, which to me right now, it's not much of a competition. This is Skinner's net here. Been a little bit back and forth, right? Remember, Skinner missed that time when he was clearly the lead dog. He missed that time after All-Star when he and his wife had their baby. And did he get sick after that or something too? He missed some time, even beyond that. Barely played. And Campbell pulled into the lead, but Skinner has closed the gap and he's pulled ahead. Campbell's game is back to being shakier than it is solid. After he was able to pull it together for a little bit there, and he hasn't been good enough here recently, Struddy.
No, he hasn't. And I've been saying it. I've been a big advocate of his. When he was going through the tough times, they're going to need him. They're going to need him. I still believe they're going to need him.
Yeah.
But right now, it is Skinner's net again. And, you've been pretty You've been pretty strong on your opinion that it is his net right through the playoffs, and
I mean, I wouldn't say that because I don't think that decision needs to be made until the playoffs. But I have been very staunch in my support that Stuart Skinner needs to be paid the respect of the number one goalie when he's earned it, and there have been a couple times this year where he's earned it, and I wanted to see him get that respect.
Yeah, you said treated like a number one, and I wasn't totally against you, but I think I was like, okay, let's just be patient. They're going to need both goalies. And a month ago, I'm like, hey, both these goalies are rolling. Both these goalies are exactly where they need. This is perfect. This is what we got. And now, you look at the last 5 starts for Campbell. I think he's given up an average of around 4 to 5 goals. Now, there's no doubt we can debate the fact about what's happening in front of him. And that is very good conversation to have. And I think one that needs to be honestly had with the team. But Campbell's, it's just slipping a little bit, and he looks small, and I keep going back to that, and I can't back that up with stats or anything, although I guess I can submit the last 5 games, but he has slipped a little bit. So I think moving forward, I'm looking at the rest of this road trip. Skinner's in the pipe, man. He is in the pipes the next 3 games. So that includes.
So you think 3? I'm sorry, I got to look behind me at the schedule. So you got Buffalo Tuesday, and then you got Bruins.
Is it Bruins Thursday,
and then Toronto on the weekend. Bruins Thursday, then Toronto on the weekend.
I'm running through.
Well, see,
I do.
Okay, we get too far ahead of ourselves determining who should start the next number of games. I think more to the point would be based on recent results. Jay Woodcroft needs to be open to the idea of running Skinner through this road trip if his play warrants that, right? So Skinner plays well, put him back in. If he plays well, put him back in.
Okay.
Enough being nice, right?
But if he does play well, let's say he plays average on Tuesday, he plays for me Thursday. Plays average again, he plays for me Saturday. That's where it's at right now. Because I want Campbell to find that game where he looked bigger again. And again, I keep saying it, but that is just what I see. When I see a ton of net behind a goalie, something's up. Something's up. It's not right. It's not right. We haven't seen that in the last month.
Yeah. I'm not sure if these stats are updated on the NHL site, but 882 save percentage here for Campbell, 912 for Skinner. I'm not sure if that's after tonight or not. I can't quite tell. But anyway, pretty stark difference in their numbers and their save percentage. Number of shots that get thrown in on them, the other guy just saves a higher percentage of them. And that's, I think if you go across the boards, even into the fancy stats and expected goals and all that kind of stuff, Skinner definitely has the advantage. And it's kind of getting to that point now where it's time for him to get the majority of the starts until he gives them a reason not to give him the majority of the starts. Okay. Ridley Chen here says, go back to Campbell next game. Insanity, I know, but let Skinner go against Boston and Toronto. Ridley, that's not going to be a popular comment here on the stream. And as you said, Struddy, just be prepared if you need to run the guy 3 in a row, talking Skinner if you have to. Markstrom is getting raked through the mud, yet Campbell has worse numbers, says CG F1, which is fair. Markstrom does get a pretty rough ride down in Calgary, and Campbell, when you look at the numbers, I don't know. Does he get too much of a pass up here? I don't know.
Well, I think that the fact the team's in a playoff spot, it cools things down.
Yeah,
and
good point.
It feels like when you read, comments out of Calgary and read articles, it feels like almost all the spotlight is pointed at Markstrom, right? I mean, it's huge right now, and so that guy is not going anywhere in Calgary without catching heat. I want to get to this one. This is from Amber McCalman. She says, any news on Costin? If he is he injured? Makes no sense to sit him in place of Shore or Derek Ryan.
See, you said on last night's live stream, it would be nuts to sit Costin. There was no way. Yeah. And I actually agreed with you. The reason that I agreed with you wasn't so much based on his play, but it was more along the lines of the temperature being cranked up the way it was and thinking that Costin, shouldn't come out because second night against the same team, maybe things would be a little bit rough and tumble. And you would want to have him in there. With that said, you pull Costin out, you're putting in a 6'6" player who, I mean, I know he's not a big scrapper or anything like that, but I think you would probably feel like you're going to be okay on that front. What did you think of the decision to sit Costin? And we'll ask you folks out there on the stream what you thought of the decision to sit him.
I didn't like it at all. I thought it was a mistake. Now, if he's injured, I'll bend the knee. But he and Bukestad are not the same players. I think that was a pretty heavy game tonight. We saw Darnell Nurse get involved after Connor McDavid got run by the man who'd like to buy a vowel last name, and just a lot of action out there, right? Like I think that he wanted a heavier player in there that played heavy. I think, although he doesn't deserve it, I think it would have been Shore. I would have taken Shore out.
See, that's the thing though. Like we talked about this last night. It's a tough decision because I thought Devon Shore had been playing the game recently like a guy who was really understanding how under the gun he was and really doing what he could not to be the odd man out. I really liked his game the last couple of games. And then Derek Ryan, he was playing a pretty good chunk of minutes as well. So they had a decision to make. And Costin, I'm trying to remember now. Was there a blown coverage in the slot by Costin? Was that him? I'm going to call up my game notes here and see if I can find it. I remember Woodcroft even saying something after the game. I don't want to hang this on him if it's not him.
Sure.
I wish I could remember. But I remember there was definitely there have been some mistakes in Costin's game recently. And so maybe Woodcroft sending a little bit of a message there. But Bukestad comes in. By the way, on the stream, people are saying people are surprised at Costin definitely getting sat out. Seeking Sandguru again says they needed Costin. He's tough, and he's been getting points in limited minutes. Don't disagree with that. Was Costin scratched to let Shore get a couple games for his troubles before he gets sent down for good? I don't think so. You're trying to win games. I think that's the only criteria right now. Ryan says, I was shocked that Costin sat. So a little bit of a consensus there, Struddy. People wondering what was up with Costin and why he was out. Principal says Shore did play good tonight with the assist on Bukestad's goal. What do you think of the new Oiler?
Yeah, kind of what I expected, right? Big guy, moves pretty well, not overly physical. But I mean, he went to the net like that. He was literally behind Hellebuck when he scored that one. Like he was right in the blue paint. And so, I think that it was good. I mean, it was a good start for him, I think, to that group. What did he play? About 10 minutes, I believe.
13-17 he played.
Yeah. So he was in there. He's in the mix. I think it was a good start. And I think scoring right away for him is huge, right? Because now it's like, hey, I have my first goal. Now I can get going. Not that he's second guessing himself, but you go to a new team, you want to contribute right away. And I thought he did. So pretty good. But I just more of the same, right? Just more getting that, being big, using that speed and size.
Well, we wondered when they got him about the face-off prowess and, just sort of if he, because his numbers were sub 50%. What I liked about that goal is that whole thing started with him bearing down on a draw in the offensive zone. That was him that won the draw. Yeah. And then he battles his way through to the net. And sure, he just, he looks down and it's sitting there and he buried it. Bit of a garbage goal, but he won the draw and then he went hard to the blue paint. So I think bottom six forward, offensive zone face-off, that's kind of nice butter, sugar time, right, to get that offensive zone face-off, and he made it count. I didn't mind it. I thought he had a couple of other nice sequences, too, where you could tell there was some pretty good puck protection skills there, and I think that's going to translate in the playoffs when offensive zone time is critical. He looks like a guy that can shield the puck not too bad and be a little bit tough to bump off of it. So I thought, overall, it was a pretty good maiden voyage for him.
Yeah, for sure. And like I say, scoring that goal is huge. It'll be huge for his confidence because it's off your to-do list, right? I think for him, it's a pretty simple game plan, right? Win face-offs, be good defensively, use that big body, protect the puck, and get to the net. Like his recipe of success is not a very hard one to have to follow.
Right. Someone helping me out. The 1-1 goal against Toronto was his blown coverage, says Patrick. I'm trying to recall that goal, and I can't now. But I do recall there was a mistake recently. But I think Costin has done some good stuff. Good start for Bukestad. Okay, that was a breakdown brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. So now, time to dig into bigger picture, the last three games for Evan Bouchard and his shiny new partner in Matthias Ekholm. And the results, to me, have been pretty darn good. So that is time for takeaways, brought to you by Sherwood Buick GMC, the #1 GMC dealership in all of Canada for 5 years running at Sherwood Buick GMC. They actually have stock. So when you go there and want to test drive something, they've got trucks and cars and SUVs you can get into and take for a test drive. You don't have to wait months and months and months to get your vehicle. The staff is incredibly friendly. I recently bought a vehicle there. They do a great job. Financing is easy. They make it nice and simple. Go see Phil and the crew at Sherwood Buick GMC, the big, giant, beautiful dealership just off of Baseline Road on the way in to Sherwood Park. Okay, I pulled up Natural Stat Trick. Love this site, by the way. They do such a nice job of giving you a chance to just get a quick snapshot of how some guys did in the fancy stats categories night in, night out. So you click on the Oilers and see how they did, how a couple of guys did on ice. Matthias Ekholm and Evan Bouchard together on the ice tonight. At even strength, Ekholm was 18:49. Bouchard, 20 minutes and 45 seconds. You checked it out. That's a season high, right? His overall, he was 24 plus minutes.
A quick glance, I think 24 was his highest previously. Right.
Shots for, 16 for, shots against 9 with Ekholm on the ice, 15-9 with Bouchard on the ice, 69% Corsi for Ekholm, 65% for Bouchard. In a night where they were being outshot for large portions of the night tonight, Struddy, these guys and their shot share, really, really solid. I thought it was another pretty good game from these guys, and they look like they're clicking together nicely as a partnership. What have you seen?
Well, when they acquired Ekholm, we talked about just how playing with a settled partner makes a big difference for a young player. And I can just go through my own experience. I remember when I came up to NHL and I played with a guy named JJ Daniel. Now he was very, very veteran guy, and he made it very clear what my role was. Just do this, do that, and I'll do the rest. I'm like, perfect. And it was very settling. When you're playing a young player and you're playing with another young player, or a guy who's still kind of trying to, maybe a fourth or fifth or sixth defenseman, it makes a big difference, right? And so for this guy, Ekholm knows what he is. He knows how to defend. He knows, and he knows when trouble's coming, and he can see it coming. Bouchard does not have that. He does not have the warning sign when you're backing up into something. You're about to hit something.
Danger.
He does not know. He does not know it, and I don't know if he'll ever have it. No. But he does have it now in Ekholm. That's his insurance policy. So I think that makes a big difference. So Ekholm sees trouble coming or sees situations coming prior even before Bouchard even knows he's in trouble. I think the power play, I think that's been a good thing for Bouchard. The Oilers, to use your word, place a bet that he was going to, be able to take that over. And I think that we've seen improvement from him each game of the way he's, for sure bringing the puck up the ice and even moving in the offensive zone. I think that's bleeding into his 5-on-5 game. Then he mixed in Ekholm in that situation. I think the Oilers may have not just traded for one player. They may have traded for one and upgraded another on their back end.
Mainlander Tim in the Weiss Johnson mentions here says, if my math is correct in the last 3 games, Edmonton's power plays 1 for 4, 2 for 9, 2 for 3, for 5 for 16, 31.25%. Barry, who? And listen, I was one of the loudest ones talking about Tyson Barrie being pulled off this power play, and if there would be an effect long term. Was Evan Bouchard ready to meet the challenge and lean into that challenge? And it's still very early days, but the returns are looking really good for Bouchard. I've liked him on the power play. He hasn't been perfect, and there have been some things that, listen, mistakes that are going to get ironed out over time. But so far, he's met the challenge, and I think that he's looked good. And I think tonight was as confident tonight as he had on the power play, Struds, just in terms of, grabbing it, moving around. Last 2 games actually were pretty good. Head up, not afraid to take shots, not constantly looking to dish it off, starting the play out at the blue line, a little bit smoother. He looks to me like he's getting a little bit more confidence, because when he plays that way, you can really see the ability and the vision that this player can play with.
Let's put ourselves in Bouchard's shoes. You've been watching a power play for a couple of years now, being run by a guy who's a power play specialist. That guy gets traded and like, hey man, you're up. You got to get in there. You got to keep this thing. Oh, by the way, this is a historically great power play you're going to now have the keys to. What do you want me to do? Sorry. So, and you want me to be playing with 2 of the most, intense and not intense, sorry. 2 of the most
dynamic,
organized and ready, yet dynamic offensive players in the league. And you want me to figure this out while we're in a stretch drive of a playoff drive? And you want me to play more minutes 5-on-5 with a new partner? There's a lot going on in this guy's head right now, but for whatever reason, it's working. And Ken Holland, maybe the coaching staff had a sense that this guy needed or was ready for this challenge. And so far, 3 games, I think he's met every challenge. So just think about that for a second, how the player emotionally feels getting into that situation. Not easy, but he seems to be doing all right.
Lots of pressure. And I wondered, was Evan Bouchard going to lean into this and take this opportunity and attack it with confidence? Because he should have confidence. He knows how to be a good NHL player. Or was he going to back away from it and be tentative? And what I've seen is a guy who, it's not been perfect, but I've seen him really lean into this challenge, really lean into this opportunity. Look at the minutes he played tonight. That is a pile of minutes to play, and he handled it. So far, it's been a really, really solid look from Evan Bouchard, and the concerns that I had about them moving Barrie, as far as the power play goes, have been unfounded, because he's done a really good job in that spot too. And listen, I will absolutely 100% admit that their concerns were unfounded if long-term Bouchard and this power play continue at a similar pace and don't have too much drop-off. And he's been really good. Ekholm, man, it's almost like he knows Bouchard. Like somebody whispered in his ear, listen, just make sure you're making sure, because every once in a while you're really going to need to be there. And you can tell he's just a couple of times in the last 3 games, Bouchard's made a mistake and Ekholm's just exactly where he needs to be to cover him off, almost knowing that I got to be there in this way for this player. He's been the perfect complement to that piece of Bouchard's game that we often criticize.
But that's what he's paid for. That's his job. he's not being a hero. That's his job. That's what he's there to clean up the mess, right? Clean up aisle 7. That's my job. I'll be there. He's like the cleaner upper, right? And then he tries to make plays, but he needs to facilitate the job for Bouchard, what he wants to do in his growth, and also stymie other offensive opportunities, try to create his own, but he's been around a long time, man. That's his job. That's what he's done, and that's what he continue to do. That's why Holland makes this trade, and we ship out, the guys they did.
Yeah. And again, my concerns about this deal were more about how it is in a Final Four series against Colorado or in a Stanley Cup final against Boston, if they'll have enough NHL defensemen back there. But for now, this move looks like it's given this team a real big boost. It's placed people a little bit more where they need to be. Darnell Nurse steps in, gets into a scrap. Not the guy that he wanted to fight, but standing in for Connor McDavid. Couple of games in a row here, or 2 of the last 3 where we've seen Oilers stepping in for one another. I think this is a real good trait to have bubbling to the surface here as they hurtle towards the playoffs.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you're standing. It's a heavier game, and I didn't think it was a god-awful hit, but I mean, it's your captain, and it had been a pretty physical game up to that point, and 2 games. And quite frankly, that's what we want to see. So I like what Darnell did. But just getting back to your point about, do Oilers have enough NHLD? What they have are NHLD. These guys are NHLD. I think Broberg and Danair are finding their way. They'll be NHLD. The problem is they don't have another top end right shot D.
Yeah.
If that's the reality. And I'm so you guys you challenged me a little bit on that against Colorado. I always talk about Colorado, and they are the gold standard of defense in the Western Conference.
You're never going to be able to go guy to guy to guy and
but you got to get close. You got to get close, man. And there's still, you get me one more top 4 right D, you're getting damn close. I don't know if they can do it. You can't do any better than what you're going to do, right? So then you have to figure it out after that. But they're like one more guy away. But you know what? The way it is right now in the Western Conference, you should be able to have some success with what you have and hope for growth. You've got to pray every night you go to bed, because look at it, let's be honest. CC, he is what he is, right? That's
okay.
And that's fine.
Okay, he is what he is, Struds, but I do think he can play better than he's been playing. We've seen him play better than he's playing now. So I don't look at CC right now and think, well, that's all they're going to get from him. They need him to get back to the level he was at before. Go ahead.
Let me rephrase it. I don't believe he's a top pairing defenseman.
Right.
He's probably he's a 4th defenseman. That's what he is. And I wish I would have been that. I wish someone would have said, man, that guy's just a 4th defenseman. Wow, that would have been a great thing here. But he's not going to improve. But you can get internal development from Broberg and Bouchard. Those are 2, and Darnay to a point as well. I don't know that he's a top 4. Maybe I don't want to put a limit on anyone. Mm-hmm. But those other 2 guys, you have to pray in the next year that these 2 guys jump up and just keep improving, because that would be the best solution for everybody. I don't know if that can happen in a year, but let's see what happens.
The bigger picture story on Evan Bouchard, and people, I don't know if people feel like there's this narrative that maybe I'm being hard on Bouchard in some way, shape, or form. I don't think that's fair. I've actually been a real big supporter of Evan Bouchard's. If you remember during the year where he got dragged around on the taxi squad all year, I was like screaming from the mountaintops that this was not the right way to handle this guy and that he needed to get in there. I've said many, many times how good he was for them in the playoffs. I think he's had an up and down year this year. Definitely he's had an up and down year, but there have been times where I don't think the organization has put the proper faith in him and put the right opportunity in front of him. And I've been very vocal about that. So I find it interesting now they make a real core fundamental decision to lean into this player and say, okay, we're going to lean on you now. And I think Bouchard is a guy that's just been waiting for that. He's just waiting. He got it in the playoffs. He got the minutes that I think he feels he's capable of. He's going to get them now. And the early return here is that he's grabbing this thing and he's running with it. And we said before trade deadline, if the Oilers were going anywhere in the playoffs, Evan Bouchard was going to have to find his game and be a big contributor. And they made a move that injected some confidence into him, changed the shape of the deal a little bit. It's early. It's really, really early. But man, Ekholm looks good, and Bouchard looks as good as I've seen him next to him.
100%. And for Bouchard, we're probably never going to get another chance like this as a young player to shine. Running a power
contract
play,
year,
playing top 4, like you are getting. This is literally could be printing money if things go well here the next, let's call it 3 months.
All right, good takeaway segment. What else should we just mention tonight? I'm trying to think of what other notables. Draisaitl with the hat trick. I mean,
yeah, he's feeling it again. But what is that? 8 games out of 9 he scored or something like that. Like, it's crazy,
he's on
right?
what's he on, a 12-game heater, and McDavid's on a 10-game heater, I think, or something like that.
So that's good.
He's feeling it.
Yeah, nice pass by Nuge to Janmark. Same thing. Janmark, you get a random goal from him. But Nuge just a sick feed. Like, that guy's feeding as well, on pace for, I think, 100.
Yeah, man. The season they're getting out of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, it's mind-numbing when you think about the money that they're paying him.
Like, he and Hyman, I think, are both really good deals.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
Leon, too. Leon's a
100 points for 5.25? Yeah. I mean, that's crazy. And the thing people need to remember about Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, there was more money on the table elsewhere for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Mm-hmm. There was. He could have gone elsewhere. He wanted to be here. Mm-hmm. He took less money because he wanted to be here. So there's a guy that wants to be in Edmonton. A lot of times it'll take a contract year to leverage a career year out of a guy. Yeah. Nugent-Hopkins is locked in. His dollar figure is what his dollar figure is. And now he's finding his career heights, which I think says something, Struds, about a guy's want to win. And I think that's where Nugent-Hopkins' head is at.
Yeah, I get the sense he just wants to win with this team, right? He wants to get it done here. And, they're creeping closer. And every year, Ken Holland seems to be getting the team a little bit closer to what they need. I'm not sure they're a finished product yet. They need that internal development, but they're maybe getting close. They're getting close, buddy.
All right, you hear the music. That means the stream is coming to an end. We'll pick off a couple quick comments here from the Weiss Johnson Twitter mentions. Ryan, can't wait till Kane comes back. Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting this team's getting Evander Kane back, Struddy.
Yeah, that's huge.
That'll be a pretty major one. Bush gets a bonus if he gets one more assist, I think. Oh, that's interesting from Davin. We'll have to look at that. Omar says, I think it's time Ceci and Nurse need to be split up. So what are you playing, Desharnais with Nurse then? I don't know about that one.
They don't have the depth. They don't have it right now to do that.
Yeah. You got anything you want to hit on there, Struds? You good?
No, it's good. I think we covered a lot. And I'm looking forward to this game on Tuesday. Buffalo, man. Let's do this.
Right on. Ryan says, only 5 likes. We can do better, guys. I don't know what that means. Oh, is that where people like your stream while you're doing it?
I guess, yeah.
Does number of likes matter?
Well, to him it does.
Oh, do we get more money if the likes are more? If we do, then by all means, like away, folks.
Like it up.
All right, Struddy, get back to your, what was it? Susan 16,
Daisy Jones and the 6.
Saxophone.
It's going to be very popular. People are going to love it. It's on Prime. People are going to love it.
Really? We're going to be hearing about this?
Oh, we will. You will. We all will.
SCM Cynic 14 says, Struds rocks.
That's probably the most accurate thing you said all night.
Have an awesome night, buddy. We'll check in early next week after the game against the Buffalo Sabres. See you, my friend. Thanks so much for joining us here on the live stream, YouTube and on Twitter and here on Got Your Back. Absolutely loving doing these live streams with you folks. Love the interaction. Love the comments. Having all kinds of fun. Big thanks to our sponsors as well. Mr. Dirk, DLR Vinyl Products. Happy birthday, Dad. Sherwood Buick GMC and Weiss Johnson as well. Oilers of the Buffalo Sabres coming up here in a couple of days. We'll drop a pod after that. And keep an eye on Got Your Back NHL edition with LeBrun and I. We'll drop another one of those podcasts coming up on Wednesday. By the way, if you didn't see, me, LeBrun, and Darren Dreger did a trade deadline day debrief. So check our Twitter feed, check YouTube. We dropped that podcast earlier on today. Lots of great insight from the insiders. All right, folks, that's going to wrap. Have a fantastic finish to your Saturday night, a great weekend, and we'll talk soon. Cheers.